Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. All right, welcome everyone. Oh, okay, so welcome everyone. I hope you're all feeling good. Shanila, there's a little, okay, cool. There's a little bit of feedback that's happening. Um, Super excited to be with everyone here today. I'm currently based in the UK, so big hello to the guys in the UK, Bristol and Cambridge wise. I know there's a couple here, and up north, so it's going to be a fun little hour. So let's get started. Before we get started, though, huge thank you to our sponsors. So we have RescoNet, MS CRM add-ons, and RSM are our three big sponsors today, and they're responsible for our amazing prizes that we'll mention at the end. So big thank you to all of you guys. Oh, we have more people from the UK. So hello, guys. We should all get together when we're allowed to. Um, this is me. My name is Julia Simpson. I am a senior finance consultant. So what I mean by that is I specialize just in the finance modules of finance and operations. In my previous life, I was an accountant using the system. And for my sins, I decided to become a consultant. So it is what it is. I'm now living in the UK. I grew up and worked in Australia, and in 2013, I decided to come to the UK for fun, and I've been here ever since. So let's move on. Now, what I'm going to talk about today, by the time I actually started getting all the demonstrations ready, practicing the slides, I realized that I don't have enough time. So I'm just going to be focusing on the Wave 2 because that's what today is all about, the Wave 2 finance features. We're also going to cover the global and the cross-app features because they do have a lot of impact within the finance modules. We're not going to cover the supply chain. I had hoped to cover the supply chain, and I'm going to send out the slides into this Yammer chat group, not Yammer chat group, a Teams chat, so that you guys can get the slides, and there are information about supply chain. I run out of time. Now, if I get time, if I talk too fast, then we'll come back to them. So with that, let's get on to the fun of it. Very first thing, a little bit of a warning. Everything that I am about to say is my own personal thoughts, my own personal comments. They don't represent my company, so don't think anything bad if you know who I work for, and they don't represent Microsoft. I am a little bit brutal and blunt in some of the things that I'm going to be saying today, so I don't want any of this to be construed as, oh my God, this is a shit product, or oh my God, who does she think she is? This is all coming from my own personal thoughts and experiences. And I am very much open for debate on this one. So if you want to, please feel free to unmute yourself and talk. Based on previous FinOps experience, no one does that, but I'd love to be surprised. So, just a little bit of a warning out front there. And also, this was done on a preview environment as of last weekend. Now, it was version 15, 10.something.15. Over this week, so I did all my prep last weekend, got everything ready, was feeling good, and then they upgraded the environment to version 17 on me. And so things have changed since then. Things have moved on since then. I'll try to mention them as I go along. But, just so you're aware, all of this was done on a preview environment. My demos are going to be on a preview environment, not a general release environment, because we want to be able to see some of these features. Okay, so let's move on to the fun stuff. I have unselfishly started to rank these in what I think is the most coolest to the rubbish options. Not rubbish options, but is this really a feature options? So let's get started on the finance world. Asset leasing. Now, this one is the big exciting one. This is the big ticket item in my view for what's happened in Wave 2. So for those who may not be aware, there's a wonderful ISV solution out there done by Crow, which handles asset leasing. And asset leasing really came into play. It was January 2018, I think it was, or maybe 2019, when the international accounting standards changed for asset leasing, and it started to become an on-balance sheet item, or an item that had to be represented through your trial balance now, rather than just being an item in the notes. And for a good long time, Microsoft has said, "Oh, do it offline," or ISV, we're not going to touch it. And all of our clients were really upset about this. You know, you're getting a solution, you're getting a finance solution, you kind of hope there's going to be in there. And so Microsoft have done some sort of little deal with Crow, and we now have the asset leasing module. We're going to jump in, we're going to have a little bit of a look about it. It is definitely an ISV sort of solution. As you go through of it, you're like, oh, that looks very familiar to FinOps. Oh, and so if you're a consultant, some of this will feel very, very much at home. And other bits are going to be like, oh, that's not how you usually do it. Think of journals, for example, if you're going to do a journal. And I'll show you it as we go along, and you might get a bit of an understanding. So let's jump into asset leasing. It's a whole module on itself. And if you've set up fixed assets, you're going to be okay because it is very, very similar. And similar in the sense that we have groups. So here we are, we have asset groups. Now your groups can be anything like, say, if you had your fixed assets, so maybe cars or buildings, and you can direct them to different P&L account, or sorry, chart of accounts, different accounts. Rightio, and the important one that we have is and groups linked to books, and books is where all the magic happens. So if we go over to books, actually I want to go this way. Okay, within books, so books, what you do is you link your lovely little book to your accounting framework. So we have IFRS 16 here, which is really cool. Now, the rest of these I don't know personally in the UK because it's not a required standard for me, but there's also IAS 17, which is the old one, ASC 842, ASC 840, and you can also choose about the lease type. So the lease type, you have 3 different options: automatic, finance, and operating. Now, depending on the type that you're using will depend on, if it's finance and operating, does depend on either the posting that happens and the particular calculation, how it happens as well. I'm not going to bore you guys into that because I probably could do a whole section on accounting for leases at another time. And most importantly is you do have your layers. So we can have as many books as what we similar to assets, and we can have those assets tied to so those books tied to different layers for different reporting options. So that's really, really cool. The setup, you're going to be very, very similar. Rather than having posting profiles as its own menu option, it's hidden in the parameters, which I think is quite a nice little touch, if I'm honest with you. So here we are in the parameters and the accounts, and we have the different types of postings that you need to do. Asset lease, liability, interest expense, depreciation expense, lease expense, and lease payment are the very minimum key ones that you will need. You will need a fair few accounts. Now, if you're a client, or if you are a client, you probably already have these accounts. So they're not going to be anything unusual. It's just a matter of bringing them in. If you're using a Contodo database, I do recommend creating some new accounts. Creating the lease. Now, this is the fun part, and where it's a little bit different, which I quite, you know what, part of me likes it, part of me doesn't. So, you know, we'll work with it on that front. Creating the lease is, make sure we give it a lease description. So this could be for rent, for office. There we go. Right. You have to give it a fair value. The fair value is used based on what I can tell so far. Now, there's no official documentation. I don't have any association with Crow. So all of this is just based on, you know, what I know about lease accounting and what I can experiment around is going to help when it, the fair value is going to help determine, is it a financial or an operating based lease. So we'll say it was worth 80,000. This is your interest rate. So this is the rate that's on the lease. Important. And then we have to do with the asset useful life. Now this is useful for when you've got a financial asset, a financial lease. Is it a financial lease? It's a lease where it becomes then an asset. It's going to help us drive the fixed asset postings. The module is fully linked in, so that's really cool. And you can really tell that this has been done by an ISV just due to how complete and how ready it is to use. Annuity due is really useful. It's either annuity due or ordinary annuity. That will impact our present day value amount, so do make sure you get that right. And you do have to link it, it says it is fully linked with suppliers and with fixed assets. So if you create the asset and it's linked, if you create the lease and it's linked to an asset, it creates the journal for you. It acquires the asset for you. And if it's linked to a supplier, it will create the payment invoice for you as well. So straightforward enough, creating our little lease. And then we have to do our payment schedule as well. So this is how often are we going to pay it. So we're going to say the lease lasts for 3 years. And we're going to do payment of 1,500 monthly there. Straightforward enough. Now, if you do have costs with IFRS 16, you do have to split out like cleaning costs if they're included as part of your lease payment, or any maintenance if there's, you know, for a car lease. So you would add this into the executory cost schedule lines. Once you've got this basic sort of thing done, so think of this like your asset shell, you would then create your schedules. Schedules. Okay. And now that we're in here, we can see here we would have all of the lovely little books that we've created. So this one's just like fine, just to make life easy. Now, up the top here, this is where you're really going to have a lot of your fun information. If we scroll down a little bit, nope, it's up a little bit. Okay, we're going to go into books. Sorry, guys, you know the joys of the new module. You haven't gotten used to clicking around as much. So we created our schedules. That gives us our initial right of use asset and liability. So that's created the amount so we can check them or compare them to what we calculated in Excel. But nothing has happened yet. So all of the journals that are going to happen are available here. But and you can create the journals per asset, or you can go in and create it on a periodic basis as well, which is really, really cool. So you create your thing, but that doesn't mean you can start using this asset yet. You do need to confirm it. And once you've confirmed it, so this is just confirming the payment schedule, you can stick on workflow for this as well, or there is a workflow available. All right, we've confirmed our schedule. We can then start to create the journal. So we can create payment journals. So if I click on that's being confirmed, right. Before I do my journals, I have to acquire the asset or acquire the lease, and that's our initial recognition. There's an individual functionality for this, and there's also a batch functionality for this. Right, that creates our initial journal. Hasn't posted it yet. You could go into asset leasing journals that way, or you could just go asset leasing journals up the top here, and then you can just post it. So we can see here the debits and the credits. And I think this is a really nice little way, is you can see all of your journal batch headers up the top, and you see all the lines down the bottom. So I really think that's quite a nice little view. Right, so we've created our initial recognition, our initial debit credits. We can then start doing our payment schedules. Now you will need to do all three of them individually. But the good thing is you can batch them up and you can get them to automatically post as well. So that's really cool. All in all, this is a fantastic little module, and it's really quite straightforward to get up and going straight away. My concern is just that do my clients have all of that information ready to go, ready to import into the system? Which I don't know yet, because I haven't had anyone go live on it or use it. And that's mostly because it's brand new. It's only just come out. It has come straight into general availability, so it can be used straight away. And the preview has only come out last month-ish. Okay, next one, invoice automation. Now, I don't have anything to show on this one because it's not out yet. Well, when I did the slides, it wasn't out yet, but I am super duper duper excited about this. Now, as I said, I'm going to send out the links, and this URL down the bottom here is a demonstration that Microsoft have published on the functionality, which looks really cool. It has come out in version 17 in public preview. That being said, when I tried to enable it, I was getting bugs everywhere. So I kind of am just, I'm going to wait. Maybe there's an update, or maybe I've just been doing something wrong. I didn't have a lot of time to practice it for this one. But the features that are coming out, as you can see, there's 8 features that are coming out around invoice automation. It's important to note that these functionalities are the D365 elements. It's not the OCR elements. OCR, so we still need to go to a third-party provider or go to Microsoft and do the OCR Power Platform even, and do that sort of OCR elements. But the importing one and the dealing with the information, once it's been scanned and created a little package, that's been slightly improved. So key things that I'm really excited about here. The first one is the automatic submission into a workflow. And this is one where it just kind of turned me off, and we've also developed it when you want to bulk upload invoices and they don't automatically submit into workflow, which means that you just have to click there and click submit. It was tedious and painful. So this one I'm super excited for, and actually is going to make it actually more automatic than what it previously was. Right. The ability to, again, I've developed this one as well. And this is to track the OCR total amounts with what the lines add up to. So if any of you guys are used to, hopefully you are used to using pending invoices, the downside is on the header and there's nowhere that the total separates. It's on a little side pane that you refresh, and that calculates from the line information. So there's no nice little tie up of checking that the lines equals the total. So having that is really, it's just a nice rightio. This one is really cool. So this one is matching product receipts to invoice lines after the freeway. That is so many words. Essentially, what it means is you create your pending invoice, you go to match it, realize there's no goods receipt, so you have to put it aside. Now, what we previously had to do is we had to monitor our goods received, not invoiced, page to see any new delivery notes that have been done. This is now going to start automatically matching it for us. So we have our invoices sitting there. A little bit of a batch job apparently is going to be happening. That will then help match bring in that goods receipt note somehow magically, which I'm really excited. This is very, very much relevant for anyone that has like overseas shipping and getting their goods in from overseas. Really useful there. Pre-validating vendor invoices. So this is like when you go onto your ledger journals and you're creating your journals and you click simulate posting or validate journal. It's going to be the same thing, but it's going to be in the pending invoice screen. So it's just a nice little thing. Really useful if we're not using the whole automation process, but it is going to help kind of guide our users, telling them where things may need to be fixed or do need to be fixed. And last one is just the improved workflow transactions view. So this one is really nicely demonstrated on the YouTube clip. But what it is if you wanted to view the details of like all the comments, the previous comments around an invoice and the workflow, you would have to go into previous information, and it's quite a few mouse clicks. This one is bringing it more into like a fast pane sort of view. So really cool. Highly recommend clicking out the link. It's 6 minutes and 30 seconds long. So it's not long. It's definitely worth the time, especially to get you all excited about it. So that's invoice automation. Rightio. We're going to jump back in and the automated collection tasks. So hopefully I have all the tabs open up the top here. Hopefully they all work for me. Oh no, the session has ended. The typical one of doing a demonstration. Right. And that means every other tab is going to be now pointless. Rightio, automated collection tasks. What we can do for this is you set up your little hierarchy here, and you can assign customers to pools, or you can do individual sort of groupings in that situation. And what we're doing is we're getting the system to do some of these batch processing and touchless emails, which is my next point. For us. So for example, maybe we want to, in this example, we're doing a reminder email 3 days before the invoice is due, another one 2 days and 1 day. So we're sending out emails every day. Do you really want to do that? Maybe not, but definitely 3 days beforehand. Now this does rely on your accounts payable, your collections team closing off invoices so that, that we don't send out reminder emails for everything, but it's a really cool little feature. Being able to generate dunning letters and activities. I can't get activities working on this environment, but maybe, when we get a little bit, it comes out of preview, it'll get fixed. Righty-o. Right, so the touchless email stuff. Now, this is cool. So they've made email templates a lot more simpler. So you can choose the fields that you want to be in your email body, so we can then have them parameterized or variables and incorporate that into the email body. So if we have a look here, we had, in this example, we had account status, amount, and invoice. And then if we have a look at the template of the email body, here we go. There we go. Dear, and we've got, well, you can incorporate, oh dear. Can't undo. Please pay amount, and see how we've got like the little brackets in it for invoice, and it's got like the little invoice bracket, the percentage signs around it, which means that we can start to incorporate those variable information into the email to give it a bit more of a lovely feel rather than just a generic please see attached. So you set this all up, and then we have this really lovely little screen, which is appearing in every of the modules, called Process Automations. And I really hope that they expand this one. because this is a nice little screen in the fact that you can see all of the batch sort of processes that relate to that module. Now, at the moment, this only shows you the automated processes one that I just set up beforehand, but I'm hoping that is going to start including everything that's within that module, any batch processes that you have, so that the users will be able to click through. And what is really lovely is this screen here, where we can go back and forth and we can have a look at all of the different days and have a look at the results and the batch processes that happened. I think this is really cool on a side note, because often with the batch, when you send something to do a batch process and recur, it goes into system admin. And if you're a collections agent, you're not going to have system admin access. So you're not going to see when things are being processed or not. So this is where I think this is really, really useful. This leads me on to my next item, which is this is becoming available in pretty much every module. And one of the next features that they have is under cash and bank management, we also have it as well. Cash flow forecast automation. So all this is doing is it's just telling the users how often these cash flow calculations are happening. So you can have a look at the results and see when they generated. So exact same sort of view, and I do see Microsoft publishing this sort of view out for all of the modules, which is, I think it's a lovely little view, don't you? You know, you can go back and forward on your weeks. It's really user friendly on that. And you can see, if we go to like next week, we can see when they're scheduled as well. We can amend the day around of them. So that's really cool on that front. Rightio. So automated collection tasks, that's happening within the credit and collections module. Going to be super funky. You can send your activities, you can send your emails and generate your dunning letters. Now that's generating the dunning letters. You'll need to do another batch job to post the dunning letters out, just so you're aware. Touchless emails, this is having those email parameters, getting emails to automatically send out to clients if the invoices are due. Remember to settle them so that they don't become due. So again, really awesome. And again, the same sort of automation window within the cash flow. So that's also really, really cool. Right, so I've got questions. I'm going to have to come back to the questions at the end. I'm super sorry, Top One and Mark, just so we can get through everything. I'll try to get through so we have plenty of time for questions at the end. Okay, next one, trial balance with unposted details. So this one I'm a little bit iffy on. I think it's great that we're getting new general ledger reports. That is awesome. You know, so here is the new report. It relies on electronic reporter. So that is awesome, which means that this model or the underlying database behind it is now available in electronic reporter, which means that we can start to manipulate it and create really useful reports. This report, though, in general, has disappointed me a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you all. When I saw this feature, I first thought that they were going to amend the trial balance inquiry, which would have been super, super, super awesome. You guys, I mean, everyone in finance, we should be used to the trial balance inquiry. It is the bomb. It is the thing that we always lead people to, not a report. This here, this is what we get. I mean, if you like this peachy color, you'd probably be excited. I think it's not the prettiest of reports. The fixed asset report through electronic reporter is so much prettier. It's also unpivotable as well because we have merged cells and it's not a grid. So again, I'm not a huge fan of this report. What I am a huge fan of is that we now have a front-end report that we can connect to electronic reporter so we can start to manipulate things and create things a little bit more easier, which is why I've got this one sitting in the middle of, you know, kind of cool functionality. It's about to start getting nasty. Right, enhanced embedded BI. What have they done? Enhanced, what do you mean, Julia? I'm so glad you guys have all asked. I do have to go to a different environment. So this here is our embedded BI. And what they have meant by enhanced is they have renamed the reports. So it's no longer called financial insights. And I understand why they've done that because they're coming out with a financial insights packages. It's now called financial analysis. So we have the financial analysis report. That itself is one of the features that has come out. But what is the really cool feature and why this is a bit better is that they finally made this report editable. This was one of the, when they first came out with the making BI, embedded BI reports editable, this report, this workspace was ignored. It's now, we can now press edit, everyone. We can press edit so we can change if we, if this revenue bar is not what we want, we can make it a pie chart, or we can incorporate different information. See here, you've got all your different fields, so you can start to play around with this all. Remember, this is a personalization, so it doesn't apply to everyone. But the fact that we can now start to make and customize this workspace is really, really cool because, we can start making this a little bit more better for our clients, a little bit better for the actual business, make it a bit more personalized as well. Okay, so yep. So workspace, key thing is the edit button. That's what we want to get excited about. Okay, next one is a new option on the accrued purchases report. So the accrued purchases report, or the goods received excluding VAT, is one of the key reports that we need within the purchase ledger for reconciling our accrued purchases, or our GRNI. It is a key report, as you guys are all aware. And when I first saw this, I thought, what? They're making this a feature? And here it is here. Here is the new little feature, is this drop-down box. And this is all related to correcting, amending goods receipt notes. So remember on the PO, when you receipt it, you can correct it. Now I always thought that this wasn't a problem, or the receipt correcting it, but I never thought about if you correct it for a month that's already been closed off. So this is around definitely for our month-end sort of based reporting, and date, this is the date that it was corrected, or the date that the actual accounting transaction happened. So that's really quite cute, even though I want to take the piss out of it in the fact that, is it really a feature? I don't know. Is anyone excited about this functionality? Maybe you are. But I mean, to me, I feel like that's just more of a improved bug. But hey, it's cool. Now, prepayments. This one, let me show you this one. This one, you're going to be like, what? Okay, so we have here, now this is where I really wish my Windows hadn't died on me. We have here our lovely little purchase order. Now, those in the UK, the prepayment functionality is really, really good for pro forma invoices. And we've said here, okay, yeah, we have a prepayment of 50%. So it's a 12K prepayment. Under the invoices, we have an invoice that has happened. For that prepayment. Okay, so now where the functionality comes into play is I also have an open purchase journal, a payment journal. So this is a payment journal that hasn't been posted. Maybe it's in process, and it's paying that 50% of our prepayment invoice. So the whole functionality, this whole amazing new feature, is, I really hope this is going to work for me now. I'm coming in, I'm going to do my lovely little invoice. And it's going to warn me. Here we go. See that lovely little yellow sign that we have here? It's going to say that we have a open payment journal that is due to pay a prepayment, and you're now putting in the invoice. So this actually is all around just making sure that we do have, double accounting for things, that things get reversed as well. I wouldn't count this as a feature. I'd kind of count this as a bug. But I mean, it's still really cool that we're getting functionality and they're enhancing functionality. So let's move on. All right. Updating invoice quantities. So within our little workflow engine now, here we go. We have a new task. And what this task allows us to do, allows us to be able to modify the matching on a invoice. So let's go into that little top match goods receipt button and amend the matching itself. Now for this one, I'm a little bit hesitant on this. I can see this being really, really useful for that automated processing, where we have things automatically submit to workflows and go through that process. But if I'm an accountant or a purchase clerk and I have entered an invoice, I've made sure it's all lovely, I then submit it off for workflow, I don't want someone to be able to amend the matching, because that's going to amend my totals. And there's no ability to say in a little condition over here, if someone has amended the matching, go through a different, it just goes on to the next step. So I think this is really cool for our automated process. But if you're doing a manual process, the business scenarios for this I see to be a little bit limited. Okay, now this one, I got it working once. So this feature is called Enable Additional Validation. And the whole thing, my understanding of this was that when you're creating a purchase order or maybe a sales order and you selected a dimension, if you selected the wrong dimension, you would automatically get some sort of warning. And that happened for me once, but I've not been able to get it to work again. Now, it's supposed to be out in general availability in October, and it hasn't said that it's actually come out yet. I've logged a little bit of a problem with that. I'm not sure. It sounds like it's going to be really positive, because again, especially if you look at like purchase orders and sales orders, if you've spent all this time making a wonderful chart of account configuration with certain rules and then just the user being able to select the wrong dimension, that's really frustrating. So this is hopefully going to improve this. But we'll see. It's down the bottom of my list of not so cool because I'm not sure if it's going to work very well or work as I imagined it to work. Rightio, and the final finance feature is turning off ledger settlements. So this hasn't come out yet. It's due to come out in January. You can see the link. Hopefully it still comes out in January. And there's no preview. It's just going to general availability. It's going to introduce a new parameter, which is available under ledger settlements, under the general ledger parameters and then the ledger settlements section. And you can turn it on and off depending on what you need. So the whole reason why you would turn off ledger settlements is really around FX revaluations. At the moment, when you do my little picture didn't change. When you do an FX revaluation, it will only look at the open items. So if you want to revalue any of your modules and you are settling things off or you're revaluing your trade creditors or your trade debtors, it's only going to look at the open items. Anything that's closed won't get revalued. With this functionality being turned off, it will then revalue absolutely every single transaction, not just the closed ones. So I can see limited sort of scope for this. But the downside that it is that when you do turn this off, it means that no transactions, none whatsoever, will settle. So if you decide to reverse a journal, that ain't going to automatically settle. If you decide to do payment journals which have discounts, again, that won't automatically settle. So just be aware that if you do turn this off, it turns off all settle functionality. But regardless of if you have it off or on, you can still use the ledger settlement functionality and the advanced ledger settlement functionality. So this is just another little feature behind there. So with that, I'm just going to address the questions that we have before we move into, financial insights, last one. The stuff that Microsoft got us all hyped up about, it's been delayed. It should be out next year. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it's going to come out. I'm super, not so much excited about the payment prediction sort of one, more excited about the enhanced cash flow reporting. Very excited for that. Now, it's definitely going to benefit anyone that is been on the system for a while because you'll have that transactional history to use as well. So 2 questions that we've had so far, the reporting capabilities. So I've been led to believe that the reporting capabilities within leasing is intense. If we have a look here under asset leasing and inquiries and reports. Now, again, there's for each of the leases, there's a lot of open in Excel functionality, which is really quite cool, which means we have that ability to pull out that information and use it as we need to in Excel, or not in Excel, sorry, in BI. But we do have a couple of default reports. We can have a look. Let's see, we have movements, modifications, and lease transactions. So something to play around. If I haven't properly played around with the reports yet, but if we go into the leases and we go into the payment schedules as well, here on books, functions, and payment schedules and the liability schedules as well, you'll notice here when we do that open in Excel, you do have open in Excel functionality to look at that payment schedule, which you could then very much manipulate as you please. And same with our lease schedules as well. There is the ability to open it up in Excel. Yes, it will support IFRS 16. That is the whole purpose of it. It does IFRS 16 and IAS 17, as well as a couple of other ones that I'm not familiar with in the UK. But it definitely does do that, Christina. And to mark the improved workflow on AP invoices, no, it is not available anywhere else. It is just on purchase pending invoices. So these are invoices that are related to purchase orders. And it doesn't work for purchase requisitions or for purchase order approvals either. It is just on pending invoice workflows and just the headers, not the lines as well. So let's jump into the global features. So global features very much do impact finance, a huge impact to us, as well as the cross app features. There's also public service features, which I haven't touched because personally I have no experience with the public service industry, and I didn't want to be talking to you guys about something I just don't understand, because then I just feel like I'm talking out of my ass, which we don't want. So this one, in advanced notes. This one's really cool if you're using the standard reporting function, standard documents within finance and operations. Let's hop in and I'm going to show you it. Right. And it's available in both purchase ledger and sales ledger. So that's again really quite lovely. Let's hop down to sales ledger or accounts receivable if we have any American friends within us. We have advanced notes. So we have the whole setup. You can create groups and you link that group to the customer. Or you can do, in typical Microsoft fashion, we have the ability to do table, group, and all. So table would be individual customers or individual suppliers. Group would be you can create as many groups as you want and then link them to your different customers. You link it to the customers through the sales or the defaults fast tab, and all is all. So you can go through here and you can have your different groups and you can then have different rules for all of the different documents. And then you can control, this is the footer information. So when you create your invoice, like the little footer, what information you want on there. Same with a free text invoice, or if you want any extra information on there. Maybe you want to refer special terms and conditions or different restrictions or licensing and things. So I think this little functionality is really, really useful if you want to be using the business documents or if you want to be using the standard SSRS sort of base documents for your quotes, confirmations, invoices, and so forth. Right. Okay, business documents. If you don't know what business documents are and you don't have an ISV, such as Bottomline or LaserNet or FormPipe, you're going to be really excited about this. So business documents allows us to customize and control externally facing documents. So we're talking customer statements, sales ledger invoices, purchase ledger invoices, purchase remittances. And that functionality has been out for a while. The problem with it is it's only been available. So whenever you generated these reports, it generated it and sent it in Excel. And if you guys are with me here, I couldn't recommend this to anyone because you don't want your invoice going to your customer or someone in Excel because it can be manipulated then, and that just is not right. So the big feature that I'm really excited about here is the ability to convert these documents into PDF. There's also direct printing available and barcode and scanning, creating of barcodes and QR codes that's come out. Fantastic little features, but what I was really, really excited about was the print destination. So we'll just go into here. Electronic report destinations. So this is where we get to control where different reports go. Really fun. And this is our lovely little new functionality. And you can you press the convert to PDF and then you get this little button down the bottom and you can choose do you want it to be portrait or landscape. This here is a game changer for business documents with an electronic reporter. Because we can then start to use and manipulate and actually make it worthwhile. So really excited for this one. Really excited to have a client go ahead with this one as well. Right. I've seen your question, Ian. I will get back to your question, Ian. So Ian's question is, can you change invoice template used based on account number or dimensions associated with a dimension? Account number, yes. Dimensions, not so much, but maybe customer group or some sort of parameter apart from financial dimensions that's used on on the customer itself. If we have some time, I'll show you through that little functionality. I'm happy to do a business documents webinar if you guys are interested in that sort of thing. Just let me know. I have done some in the past. Okay, other thing about business documents is we can create those customized bodies as well. So when you send out that email or that invoice, you can say dear and then the customer name, amount, say remittance for amount, which is because if any of you guys have used the standard email of report functionality, that emails an SSRS report, you can't customize the body. And that's been another, again, why people don't like it. So there we go. Munir asks about the editable BI reports. So I have to go back to that slide on that one. And it is generally available in October. So give it plus or minus a month. I think it's going to be like version 17 that you'll need to upgrade to. Okie dokie. So we're going to cover that. We cover this one. Okay, this one. Is it really a feature? So this feature is called invoicing VAT directors on project invoices. So what this is all about, this is actually a fantastic example of where we had an idea on the ideas portal. So if any of you guys don't know, there is ideas.dynamics or experience.dynamics, I can't quite remember, where you can submit ideas of functionality that you want and people get to vote on it. So this one was an actual idea that someone submitted, Eugen. So full preps to Eugen. And he did it back in 17. And you know what the cool thing is? It only got 17 votes. Yet Microsoft have decided to go ahead with it. And what this is an Eastern European functionality that enables it so that, and we've made it available for all EU countries. So if you're doing a project invoice or a project contract invoice, printing of the tax code description on that document. So nice little feature. Actually, I don't know if I'd call it a feature. I have my own personal opinions on this one when it's a functionality that's available for one country and they just extend it. I wouldn't really call that a feature, but it's there. And if you guys do project invoicing and project contract invoicing, that may be really useful for you. Okay. Now this one, I haven't been able to figure out exactly what it does, so I can't make a call. What it advertises is it's made using translations in business documents and a lot easier, and electronic reporting a lot easier. I can't figure it out exactly what it's done. And also, I've been very, very lucky and very, very biased that all of my clients, all of our documents have been English speaking. So I've not had any exposure to this one. But it is something that's been mentioned in the global feature. So I do think it is useful, particularly if you are one of these fantastic companies that has multi-translations. Really cool to look into. Now, these next two, I haven't had access to them yet. They're still in preview, and you have to sign up for the preview program to access these. There is no date for global availability yet, but they're advertised as being a game changer, this one and the next one. And this one is globalization services. So my understanding of this one is you can package up all of your global electronic reporting features to save it and then share it amongst your different countries within that region. It is supposed to get a bit more exciting, and it's going to be very, very much exciting for our next functionality, which is our electronic invoicing add-on. Now, this one, again, coming out in the preview, so I don't have access to it yet, but I am super duper excited to, because I get access on every project. And that is integration with invoicing formatting. So this is where you have a customer, and I mean this from an end user's point of view. You have a customer and you need to submit invoicing formats. Previously, we've had to do some sort of integration for this or some sort of techie part for this, but they're advertising it to come out of the box, which is super exciting. And we're supposed to be able to have multiple formats in like XML or Java or text or CSV. And also it includes the web service integration. And this is all supposed to be within the Dynamics 365 client. So I'm so excited to see about this one. I really, really hope it's not going to break my heart. But it's still very, very much hush hush at the moment. So we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed it's going to be cool. Okay, now let's talk about cross-app functionality. So cross-app means that it can be used within any module. I only have 5 minutes, so I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to be able to do a demonstration on this one, which is awful. I'm super, super sorry about this. So now, when they came out in August, they were buggy as anything. But between August and October, they have been doing fix after fix after fix, and it's actually at a point now where I do think it's usable. Right, first one, we have anyone that's come from 2012 days is going to be really excited about this one. Anyone else, you're not going to care. And it's the calculator. The calculator is back, everyone. I love the calculator. This is a feature that divided the finance team at the company I work for in half. Either you love the calculator feature or you don't. And what that is any numeric field, so any like quantities or price or amounts through debits or credits, you can put like the little equal signs and then you get your basic calculator back. And it's just so nice to have, particularly if you need to figure out like net and gross values or VAT values, really useful. They've also made the ability to reorder the columns super duper simple. So now all you have to do is kind of hover on the middle section. So you get this little, like the cross, and then you can just click and drag. It's that simple. And you can have totals. You can put totals wherever you want now. You can have totals on purchase order, net amounts. You can have totals on invoice group. You can have totals on your general ledger transactions. Anywhere you want totals, you can put totals, which is really, it's lovely. It's just nice. It kind of makes any sort of grid view like a pivot table, like a big ass pivot table, which again, for finance people, really cool. And they've also included some performance improvements, which is very much definite if you had a look at it in preview versus what it is now. We also now have subtotaling, which again, really, really cool. So if you have a look at maybe your, for this one, I was going to go into your invoice journals. I'm running out of time. And I did subtotals by your currency. So you could subtotal, you select the field. So for example, currency, and you say group by this column. You right click on it, group by this column. Really cool. Saved views, again, a really super fun thing. You can order your columns however you want. You can apply any sort of filters that you want, and then you save that view. Now, when you come back to the screen, you can have a look at that view and you can choose any of your different fields. It's like an easier way to do your advanced filters, but it gets better. Not only can you save whole bunch of views or a whole bunch of advanced filters, you can choose and you can get them defined. You can sort how you want them to appear, and you can choose your default. So maybe you want open and received orders to be your default rather than the standard view. To top it off, what makes it even better is how you share it. Now, again, views and saved, all of these are personalizations. They're not applied to everyone else, but with the saved views, you can publish them to security roles rather than just sharing them out, which are really, honestly, it's just the way it should be with any sort of personalization. So that's really cool as well. We have phase 3 of CDS that's coming in. So dual write, if you guys love Power Platform, which I hope you do because I love Power Platform, they're making it a lot more usable. We can now do dual write through LCS. The project to cache function templates are all out, and we're getting a couple more templates as the year goes along. But that shouldn't be a stopper for you because you can create your own, which is so much easier and so much better in my personal opinion than using the out-of-the-box templates. There's a bunch of other functionality coming out as well in cross-app. A new regression suite automation tool is coming out. Task recorder functionality is being enhanced. So lovely little functionality coming out. And to wrap up in my last minute, what's new and changed? So I'm going to send out these things. Every time you've seen an underline, it means that there's a link behind it. So you can click on it and you can select it. So again, just because it's wave 2 doesn't help you understand which version it needs to be applied to, which is why we have here on this what's new and changed per version number. So you can have a look at exactly which version it is and what has been included. So if you click on any of these little hyperlinks here, it'll take you to this sort of page and it will tell you the individual functionalities, be it wave 2, wave 1, or bonus, or even bug fixes, what's been included in that version. Now, everything that I've just said is likely to change and has changed in the week from between when I did my deck and when this has come out. So always check on the wave release change section. And also be aware that they do depreciate features all the time without letting anyone know. And there's a depreciation per release, so always check that page out as well. So wrapping up, thank you guys so very, very much. We have Ian's question. We have different legal entities which are marked in dimensions associated with an invoice. Oh, that one sounds fun. You can do it. The business documents is per legal entity, so you could do it that way. But again, depending on how, maybe there's different ways. Where there's a will, there's a way. Let's put it that way. When it comes to document printing. Really cool links. Sign up to the Microsoft Dynamics 365 blog and the upcoming Tech Talks. On Monday, they're doing a big deep dive on leasing. So really useful to check out and sign up for that. I've also linked in some of my favorite non-Microsoft bloggers. And these guys focus on Power Platform and FinOps, the two together. So really useful blogs to sign up for. Also, very important, we do have prizes. So there are free $50 vouchers that are being given out. Two to the people that do the most Twitter posts with the hashtag, and one for general surveys. And also there's a URL to provide some feedback. I love getting feedback because I'm fairly new at this, so ways to enhance, ways to improve, please let me know what I can do, what you'd like to see as well. So that is it. Thank you guys all so very, very much. Oh, that's it. Okay.
Lovely. Thank you, Julia.
Sorry. I'll be around all day. So I'm just going to attach the slides now into this chat if I'm allowed to. We're going to see if I'm allowed to. If not, hit me up on LinkedIn. The file is in use. Well, that makes sense. That's why I can't attach it. And I'll send it that way. It looks